Okay, everyone, welcome to week 2 of Art 387. We're going to dive right in. There's a couple things I wanted to bring your attention to. I've turned on the student preview mode so that my screen mimics your screen, what you're seeing, just to make things extra clear. A couple of you have been having problems locating the discussion boards, or I've been told by a couple students that there was a discussion board in the week 1 learning activities, which there shouldn't be. I went in and double checked it. If you click on learning activities, make sure first of all that you're not just clicking on this discussion board link at the bottom. If you do that, it's going to take you to all the discussion boards. So this isn't just all under 1 week. This is all the discussion boards for the entire course. So if we go back to learning activities, make sure that you're clicking on that week. And when I click on this week, the only thing I'm seeing is the reflection, which this is a journal from week 1, which is what is art to you, which I already did go ahead and grade those. Those are in the grade book. So thank you to everyone who got those submitted on time. Do make sure that they're the equivalent of a page. And I was really, excited. I always like having this assignment at the beginning because it gives me kind of a thermostat of the class, where you guys are, what you think about art, how you feel about modern art and contemporary art. There's always some students who are, I don't really get that stuff, and that's okay. I'm going to ask you that even if you don't like it, that you consider it, and that's, we're not going to try and change your taste here, but we're going to try and open up your understanding of how to contextualize and place these works of art in their cultural setting. So that being said, there shouldn't be any discussion boards that were due under week 1. There is under week 2, which we're going to go ahead and dive into now. So you should be clicking on week 2, which is visual elements and mediums. And so we have our reading. We're just reading in the looking at art text this week, so nothing in the visual arts text. We're reading chapter 3, which is style and the formal elements. So a lot less reading. There was a lot of reading last week, just a little bit of reading this week. And then I have a couple of videos for you to watch. This one is called The Skill of Describing, and it's just a quick little video of, maybe some ideas of how to describe a work of art. This is a whole new language. I don't expect you all to just understand right away that, I understand completely. Sometimes we don't have the vocabulary in our personal vocabulary to be able to express what it is we're trying to say. And so that's why we need to really gain this whole vocabulary of art speak, so to say. And then I've also included just a short lecture that I did. It's only about 5-6 minutes or so. And it's about this idea of naturalistic or realistic art versus abstraction, or representational versus non-representational and abstraction. And the reason I've included this is because for one of your assignments this week, this is going to really help you select images for that. So make sure that you view those, that you do your reading. Our next item is a discussion board, and this one is called The Power of Color. So all you need to do is click this PDF here, and it should download for you. Mine might take a second. Here we go, and it'll pop up any minute. And here it is. It's just a cool little infograph. It talks about, color psychology in the home. This is very basic introduction to color psychology here about, advertising, accent colors, all that interesting stuff. So I want you to go ahead and look through that, and then you're going to go back to your discussion board here. Oops, hit back one too many times. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to choose any artwork that has always moved you because of the use of color. So describe why you find this image powerful. Does the artist's use of color parallel the information on the psychology of color chart? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Don't force it to. Don't think, oh gosh, it says this on this chart, so it must mean this. Really consider, is the way red is being used in this painting or whatever it might be, does that parallel what's going on and what's being said here? So this is some critical thinking here. And do make sure that you include that image, and I'm going to fix this in the instructions, that you actually include and embed that image into your discussion board, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But make sure that you comment on at least one of your peers' posts. So you might ask them, what do you find especially effective about color? Or in that, something you read about the way they were impacted by that image particularly. And this is something that, if someone asks you a question on your board, please make sure that you reply. This is to engage each other. So your answer should be, 2 to 4 sentences in length for each of these. I'm not looking for an essay here. These are just meant to be kind of quick critical thinking and opinion sharing assignments. You will also be graded on your participation, so make sure that you ask and answer when you are asked. Oh, and I did put it here. Be sure to include your chosen image embedded into your discussion board entry. You use the insert image button from the text editor, and I'll show you that in just a second. I did have to go in and fix one of the settings on the power of color. So one of you had emailed me saying they went into this and it wouldn't let you create a new thread. For some reason, the option to create a new thread was turned off. Sometimes when classes launch, some of the settings get a little goofy, so I have to go back in and fix them. So always let me know if something isn't working correctly, and I'll make sure I get in there and fix it. So you want to go ahead and hit click to launch. There's no discussion board threads created yet for this post, so you'll hit create thread wherever it might be. If there's other threads, it might pop up at the top, and the instructions will show up again. You can give it a title, and then you can go ahead and type your discussion board right in here. This little button right here, this is the one I want to bring your attention to. This is insert edit image. So we can go ahead and click that. This big browser will pop up. So you want to just hit browse your computer. You can select an image. You can hit open. And it might take a second. And here is the image that I have included. Now this is a really large format image, so you might want to go to appearance here. See, it's 800. I would maybe, if you want to bring that down to say, I don't know, let's say 600 or so. We can also, let's see, we can, oh, the alignment, that's what I wanted to bring your attention to. You can, put it on the top, the middle, the bottom. I tend to just leave it as it is and then type around it. So you can hit insert, okay, and boom, there you go. You have an image right there in your post. Make sure that you always give images captions. So you want to make sure you give the citation information. This is Georges Seurat's Afternoon on the Grand Jatte in 1884. It's an oil on canvas, and I love the color used in this. It's a really cool technique called pointillism. But so that's how you embed an image. If you're having any trouble with that, please let me know, and I will be sure to go over that again with you. So let's go ahead and move out of that. Let's go back to our learning activities, back to week 2, and go on to the next thing. So remember, your second half of your mini art cyclopedia assignment is to be done this week. Hopefully you've already done the first half. So the second half has to do with your reading for this week. Let me know if you have any questions on this. And that's that assignment. Okay, this is the assignment that I'm going to bring to your attention, that little mini lecture under the reading about representational versus non-representational, that naturalistic, realistic versus abstraction is going to be helpful for you. So I want you to go to week 4, and I'm not going to go to that here just to save time. But go to the week 4 learning activities and read the instructions for your theory application paper. This right here is the first step for this paper. So by the end of week 2 this week, you must submit the 2 images you will be writing your paper about. So one image needs to be naturalistic, realistic. One image should be considered abstract. They should be the same subject matter. So 2 portraits, 2 landscapes, 2 battle scenes, etc. This is important because you're going to be comparing and contrasting these images, and if you were to pick a landscape and a portrait, it's going to be hard to compare and contrast those because they're of completely different subjects. I would even go as far as saying, if you were going to take 2 portraits, take a portrait of a man and a portrait of a man, or a portrait of women and a portrait of women, a portrait of a couple, make it very much similar subject matter. Because one of the things we're going to be looking at in this assignment is how different artists are taking a very similar subject matter and they're communicating that in extremely different ways based on the techniques and materials that they're using. Okay, so that's why it's important for you to have similar subject matter. Your images must be no older than 1830. We're using 1830 as kind of a very rough year of when modernism starts, and so that's why I want nothing older than this. I prefer images from the 20th century, but we can go back further if you need to. So just remember this every time I teach this class without fail. I have students who give me images from, the 18th century or from 1810 or from 1756 or something, and I have to go back and say, no, please make sure that your images are from the modern era. So make sure that you pay attention to that. And you're going to just submit these images by embedding them directly into the assignment text editor, which is not here. This is add comment. You want to hit write submission, and then your text editor will pop up. Or you can also do this in a Word document and hit browse my computer and attach a Word document that way. So you need to include the actual images, not just a link. I want the actual images that you're going to be using, with a full citation, which means the artist's name, title of the artwork in italics, the year the artwork was created, the medium of the artwork, and the source or full image web address. I should be able to copy and paste this web address into my web browser, and it will take me exactly to where your image is located. Your images must come from either a museum or educational website, so I've given you some suggested image resources. So go to the Met Museum's website. This is their timeline, which is a really good source. If you go to the Cultural Institute on Google, and you click on their art project, great source. The only thing here is that you can't copy and paste their images. So you would basically have to go and find that image here, use this kind of as a source, and then go, Google the actual artwork and find it on another source. So you can't copy and paste. You could always take a screenshot and crop the screenshot if you're familiar and comfortable doing that. The Getty has a great website, and the Museum of Modern Art has a fantastic website as well. You can also go to the Art Institute of Chicago, which I believe is artic.com or artic.org. So anything that's an EDU website is going to be a good source here, or an established museum. So you can explore different museums using Google Cultural Institute as well. And so that is how you submit that. Any questions about this, please let me know. And the reason I have you submit these is because I approve them first. I know it's just 5 points and you think, oh gosh, if I didn't do it, no big deal. This is the big deal. Is that if you submit images, or don't submit your images rather, and then go to write your outline, which is going to be the next part of this assignment, and I go back and say, hey, you know what, these really aren't appropriate for this assignment, then you're going to have to do that work over again. So it's very important that you get these images approved ahead of time. It's me setting you up for success. So I want you to do well on this paper. So this isn't a time to go very adventurous and pick, really abstract, obscure artworks from artists that you're not going to be able to find ample research on. Keep this, keep it with maybe in some of the artists that you know or names you've heard of. Go ahead and before you, pick them for sure, do a Google search, see what you can find on these people. Go to some of these reliable web sources and see what's out there, because you're going to have to do research for this paper. And so if you can't find anything on the artist, and then you writing me week 3 or 4 and saying, I can't find any research on this guy, I'm like, well, you should have thought of that before. So this is why I do this now. Okay, the other thing you have going on this week is your review quiz. So you've got a quiz. Remember, you have 1 attempt to take this quiz. That's it. So you don't get to, you can't, start it and then come back to it. You can take as long as you need on it. It's open book, open note, but just know that you have to do it in one sitting. And that's what we got going on this week. Any comments, questions, concerns, please let me know. Make sure you go in the grade book and check your grades for the week 1 work. Read any feedback I give you. That's very important. And have a great week, everyone.